God has placed dreams and visions inside of you, unique callings, ideas, and purposes that are meant just for you. These aren't ordinary thoughts or wishes. They are divine seeds planted in your heart, waiting to grow and produce something incredible. But here's the key: not everyone will understand what God has placed inside of you. Not everyone will celebrate your dreams. Some people will doubt you, criticize you, or even try to talk you out of what God has planned. That's why it's so important to protect your dreams and visions. You can't share everything with everyone because some people won't see what you see. Joseph in the Bible had a dream from God that he would one day be in a position of leadership, that people would bow before him. He was excited about what God had shown him, but he made a mistake. He shared his dream with the wrong people. His brothers became jealous, and instead of encouraging him, they turned against him. They threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery, and tried to stop what God had planned. If Joseph had kept his dream to himself, he might have avoided some of that hardship. But even though others tried to stop him, God still brought his dream to pass. The lesson here is that not everyone is meant to know your vision. Some people can't handle what God has spoken to you. They don't have the faith to see it, so they'll try to bring you down to their level. They'll tell you it's impossible, that you're dreaming too big, that you're not qualified. But just because they don't see it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just because they don't believe doesn't mean it won't come to pass. When God gives you a dream, He doesn't need anyone else's approval. He doesn't need your family to understand it. He doesn't need your friends to support it. If God said it, He will do it. That's why you have to be selective with who you share your vision with. Some people are dream lifters, but others are dream killers. Some will encourage you, speak life over you, and push you toward your destiny. But others will plant seeds of doubt, make you question yourself, and try to discourage you. When Nehemiah set out to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, he didn't announce his plans to everyone. He kept it quiet at first because he knew that not everyone would support his vision. If he had told the wrong people, they might have tried to stop him before he even got started. But because he was wise, because he protected what God had placed in his heart, he was able to complete the work and fulfill his mission. You have to do the same thing. Be careful who you share your dreams with. If you tell your vision to someone and they respond with negativity, criticism, or doubt, that's a sign that they are not the right person to speak into your future. Instead, surround yourself with people who build you up, who speak faith into your life, who remind you that with God, all things are possible. Another reason you need to protect your dreams is because the enemy would love to discourage you before you even get started. He knows that if he can get you to doubt yourself, to give up on your vision, then he can stop you from fulfilling your destiny. That's why when God gives you a dream, you have to guard it like a treasure. You have to nurture it, pray over it, and feed it with faith. You can't let negativity take root in your heart. You can't let fear or insecurity talk you out of what God has promised. Sometimes God will ask you to walk in faith before anyone else sees the vision. He will call you to step out, to start that business, to write that book, to launch that ministry, and people won't understand. They'll ask, why are you doing that? Are you sure this is the right time? What if it doesn't work? If you listen to every voice around you, you'll never move forward. But when you stay focused, when you keep believing, when you hold on to what God spoke to you, He will open doors that no man can shut. The scripture says, do not cast your pearls before swine. That means you can't share everything with everyone. Your dreams are precious. Your vision is valuable. Some people won't recognize its worth. And if you give them too much access, they'll trample on what God is trying to do in your life. Instead, be wise. Share your dreams with people who uplift you, who believe in you, who help you stay on the path that God has laid before you. Even when you protect your vision, there will still be opposition. People may still doubt you. Challenges may still arise. But if you stay faithful, if you keep trusting God, if you don't let negativity pull you down, then in the right time, you will see your dreams come to pass. Joseph's brothers tried to stop him, but they couldn't stop the plan of God. The enemy may try to delay you, but he can't deny you. When God has spoken something over your life, no force in hell can keep it from coming to pass. So protect your dreams, guard your vision, stay focused on what God has called you to do. Not everyone will understand, but that's okay. Keep believing, keep moving forward, and watch how God brings it to pass in ways you never imagined. Not everyone deserves access to your life. The people you surround yourself with will either lift you up or pull you down. They will either push you toward your destiny or distract you from it. That's why it's so important to be selective about who you allow into your inner circle. You can be kind to everyone, you can be friendly, but that doesn't mean you should give everyone a seat at your table. Some people will drain your energy, waste your time, and fill your mind with negativity. If you want to become everything God created you to be, you have to be intentional about who you let into your life. Jesus set the perfect example. He loved everyone. He ministered to the crowds, but He only shared His most intimate moments with a select few. Out of all the disciples, He chose Peter, James, and John to be with Him on the Mount of Transfiguration where His glory was revealed. He took them with Him when He went to pray before going to the cross. Why? Because He knew that not everyone was meant to walk that closely with Him. He knew that some people couldn't handle what He was carrying. If Jesus was selective with His inner circle, we should be too. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a season. When their time is up, you have to be willing to let them go. Holding on to the wrong people can keep you from stepping into the new things God has for you. There are relationships that served a purpose for a time, but now they are no longer helping you grow. Maybe you have a friend who used to encourage you, but now they're always negative. Maybe you have someone in your life who once supported you, but now they're always criticizing you. If a relationship is constantly draining you, causing stress, or keeping you from growing, it might be time to reevaluate whether that person still belongs in your inner circle. Some people can't handle your success. The moment you start rising higher, the moment you start stepping into your purpose, they'll try to pull you back down. They were fine with you as long as you stayed at their level. But when you started growing, when you started believing bigger, they became uncomfortable. Not everyone will celebrate your success. Some people will be jealous. Some will try to talk you out of what God put in your heart. That's why you have to be careful who you share your dreams with. Some people will lift you up, but others will try to tear you down. If someone is constantly doubting you, constantly speaking negativity over your life, constantly making you feel small, they don't deserve access to your life. One of the best things you can do is surround yourself with people who inspire you, who push you toward your destiny, who speak life into your future. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. If you want to stay sharp, you need to be around people who sharpen you. If you spend too much time around negative, critical, small-minded people, their thinking will rub off on you. But when you surround yourself with faith-filled, encouraging, vision-minded people, they will push you to become better, to grow, to step into your purpose. The people you allow into your life should add to you, not subtract from you. They should encourage your faith, not weaken it. They should inspire you to be better, not pull you into gossip, drama, or negativity. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do have to be wise about who you let speak into your life. Just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean they should have unlimited access to you. Some relationships need new boundaries. Some friendships need to be repositioned. It doesn't mean you don't love them, but it does mean you love yourself enough to protect your peace. When you start guarding your heart, protecting your energy, and being intentional about who you allow into your life, you will notice a shift. You'll feel lighter, you'll have more peace, you'll have more focus. That's because you're no longer carrying relationships that were weighing you down. You're no longer giving access to people who were draining you. You are making room for the right people. People who will celebrate you, support you, and walk with you into your destiny. So be wise. Love everyone, but be selective with who you allow into your inner circle. Not everyone deserves access to your life, and that's okay. Protect your heart, guard your peace, and surround yourself with people who help you become everything God created you to be. Silence is power. In a world where everyone is quick to speak, where people feel the need to explain, defend, and prove themselves, There is incredible strength in staying quiet. Not everything needs a response. Not every situation requires your input. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is remain silent and let your actions speak for themselves. There is wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. If you're always telling everyone your plans, always responding to every critic, always explaining yourself to people who don't even want to understand, you are wasting valuable energy. When you learn to be silent in the right moments, you will walk in more peace, more strength, and more favor. When Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, he didn't go around announcing his plans to everyone. He didn't try to convince his enemies that he was doing the right thing. He moved in silence. While others were talking, he was working. While his enemies were criticizing, he was making progress. Some people want to know your next move, not to support you, but to find ways to stop you. The less you say, the less they can use against you. Some battles are won not by arguing, not by defending yourself, but by simply staying silent and continuing to do what God has called you to do. Jesus himself demonstrated the power of silence. When he was falsely accused, when people lied about him, mocked him, and tried to trap him with their words, he didn't waste time arguing. He remained silent before his accusers. He knew that his purpose was greater than any accusation, that his destiny was bigger than the opinions of people. When you know who you are, when you are secure in what God has called you to do, you don't have to respond to every criticism. You don't have to waste time trying to convince people of your worth, your success, your integrity, and your character will speak louder than any words ever could. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. Sometimes responding to negativity only fuels it. The enemy wants to distract you. He wants you to get caught up in meaningless arguments, defending yourself against people who have already made up their minds about you. But when you stay silent, and when you refuse to be drawn into unnecessary drama, you are showing incredible strength. You are showing that you are focused on your purpose, that you are not easily shaken, that you trust God to be your defender. There is a time to speak, and there is a time to be silent. Proverbs 17:28 says, even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. Sometimes saying nothing at all is the best response. You don't have to tell everyone what you're thinking. You don't have to prove yourself to people who don't matter. Some things are better left unsaid. When you learn to control your tongue, to hold back unnecessary words, you will find that you walk in more wisdom and favor. Silence also protects your dreams and goals. When God gives you a vision, it's not always meant to be shared with everyone. Some people will try to discourage you. Some will speak doubt over what God is trying to do in your life. The more you talk, the more you open yourself up to unnecessary negativity. There is power in keeping things to yourself, in letting your work speak for itself. Some of the greatest breakthroughs happen in private. Some of the biggest victories come when nobody is watching. You don't have to announce everything. Just keep moving forward, keep trusting God, and let your results do the talking. Silence also allows you to hear from God. When your mind is always filled with noise, when you're always speaking, always reacting, it's hard to hear what God is saying. But when you quiet your spirit, when you take time to be still, you make room for God to speak. Psalm 46:10 says, be still and know that I am God. Sometimes God is waiting for you to stop talking, to stop explaining, to stop worrying, so He can give you the wisdom and direction you need. Not everything needs a response. Not every battle needs to be fought with words. Sometimes the best way to handle criticism, opposition, and negativity is with silence. Keep your peace. Let God fight your battles. Stay focused on what He has called you to do. When you learn to walk in silence, you will move with greater power, wisdom, and confidence. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is the presence of strength. Guarding your peace is one of the most important things you can do in life. In a world filled with negativity, distractions, and pressures, maintaining inner peace is essential to living with joy, clarity, and purpose. Peace is not just the absence of problems. It is the presence of God's assurance that no matter what happens, you are secure in Him. But here's the key. Peace doesn't just happen. You have to protect it. You have to be intentional about what you allow into your mind, heart, and spirit. If you don't guard your peace, the stresses of life, the opinions of others, and the chaos of the world will steal it from you. One of the biggest threats to your peace is negativity, whether it comes from people, the news, or your own thoughts. Negativity has a way of creeping in and disturbing your spirit. That's why you have to be careful about what you listen to and who you surround yourself with. If you're constantly around people who complain, criticize, or bring drama into your life, you will find your peace slipping away. You weren't created to carry all that weight. You have to learn to set boundaries, to limit your exposure to things that drain your energy and disturb your spirit. Some people may not understand when you start distancing yourself from negativity, but that's okay. Your peace is too valuable to be sacrificed for the sake of pleasing others. Another way to guard your peace is to let go of things you cannot control. So many people live in frustration because they are trying to fix things that are beyond their power. They worry about what others think, stress over the future, and replay past mistakes in their minds. But Jesus said in John 14:27, "Peace I leave with you, peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." That means you don't have to carry unnecessary burden. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to fix every problem. When you trust God and surrender what you cannot control, you make room for His peace to fill your life. Guarding your peace also means protecting your thoughts. The enemy knows that if he can get into your mind, he can steal your joy, your confidence, and your focus. That's why the Bible tells us in Philippians 4:8 to think on things that are pure, lovely, and praiseworthy. Your thoughts shape your reality. If you're constantly meditating on problems, worries, and what's wrong, your peace will always be under attack. But when you shift your focus to God's goodness, to His promises, to the blessings in your life, you will experience a deeper sense of peace that nothing can shake. Another important aspect of guarding your peace is learning how to say no. Some people feel obligated to say yes to every request, every invitation, and every demand placed on them. But constantly overcommitting yourself will leave you drained, overwhelmed, and stressed. You have to realize that it's okay to say no to things that don't align with your priorities. It's okay to protect your time and energy. Jesus Himself took time to step away from the crowds and rest. He understood that in order to fulfill His purpose, He had to guard His peace. If He needed that, so do you. Guarding your peace also means letting go of offenses. Holding on to grudges, bitterness, and resentment will rob you of your peace. There will always be people who hurt you, misunderstand you, or treat you unfairly. But when you choose to forgive, when you release the offense and trust God to handle it, you free yourself from the weight of negativity. Forgiveness is not about excusing what someone did. It's about protecting your own heart from the damage that unforgiveness can cause. Finally, guarding your peace means staying connected to God. No matter what happens around you, if you stay rooted in Him, you will have an unshakable peace that nothing can take away. Spend time in prayer, read His Word, and listen to His voice. The world will always have distractions, chaos, and uncertainty, but when you stay connected to God, His peace will be your anchor. Isaiah 26:03 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." That's the key, keeping your mind on Him. Your peace is valuable. It is worth protecting. Don't let people, circumstances, or worries steal what God has given you. Be intentional about what you allow into your life. Set boundaries. Let go of what you can't control. Protect your thoughts. Say no when necessary. Release offenses. Stay connected to God. When you do these things, you will walk in a level of peace that nothing in this world can shake. And when you have that kind of peace, you will have the strength, clarity, and joy to fulfill the incredible purpose that God has placed on your life. Let God be your defender. Too often we feel the need to fight every battle, to defend ourselves when we're misunderstood, to prove our worth when others doubt us. We want to set the record straight when people spread lies about us, when they question our motives, when they say things that aren't true. But the truth is, not every battle is yours to fight. Some things you have to leave in God's hands. He sees the unfair situations. He knows the people who have wronged you. He is aware of every insult, every betrayal, and every false accusation. And He promises to be your defender. When you try to defend yourself, you take matters into your own hands. You spend energy arguing, explaining, trying to convince people of something they may never understand. But when you let God fight for you, you walk in peace. You realize that your reputation is in His hands, not in the hands of people. You don't have to chase down every rumor. You don't have to get back at those who did you wrong. You don't have to worry about proving yourself, because God will prove you. He will vindicate you. He will make sure that everything done in the dark is brought to the light. Your job is to stay faithful, to stay in peace, and to trust Him to be your defender. Look at the life of David. Before he became king, he was constantly attacked and mistreated by Saul. David had done nothing wrong. He had served Saul faithfully. He had fought battles for him. But Saul became jealous and tried to kill him. David had opportunities to fight back, to take revenge, to justify himself, but he didn't. He understood that God was his defender. He didn't have to lower himself to Saul's level. He didn't have to fight a battle that wasn't his to fight. And in the end, God took care of Saul. David didn't have to do anything. God elevated him at the right time. Maybe you have people in your life who are trying to discredit you. Maybe they're spreading false information, trying to make you look bad, trying to hold you back. You might feel tempted to retaliate, to put them in their place, to set the record straight. But let me encourage you, stay in peace and let God be your defender. The scripture says in Exodus 14:14, the Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. That means you don't have to waste your time fighting battles that God has already won. He sees what's happening. He knows what they said, and He is working behind the scenes to make things right. Letting God be your defender doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. Doesn't mean you don't stand up for yourself when necessary. But it does mean you don't let every little thing steal your peace. It means you don't get distracted by battles that aren't part of your destiny. It means you don't let offenses take root in your heart. There are times when God will call you to step back and let Him work. He is the God of justice. He knows how to bring fairness better than you ever could. He knows how to restore what was lost. He knows how to deal with those who mistreat you. When Jesus was falsely accused, when He was mocked and beaten, He didn't waste time trying to explain Himself. He could have spoken up. He could have defended Himself. He could have proven who He was, but He remained silent. He knew that His Father was in control. He knew that He didn't have to fight that battle because God would fight it for Him. And in the end, He was not only vindicated, but He was glorified. He fulfilled His purpose, and nothing the enemy did could stop Him. If you're in a situation where you feel like you have to defend yourself, take a step back and remind yourself that God sees it all. He is working in your favor. He will clear your name. He will promote you in the presence of those who doubted you. Psalm 23:05 says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. That means God isn't just going to defend you. He's going to bless you in front of those who tried to bring you down. The best response to criticism, to injustice, to unfair treatment is not to fight back in your own strength, but to trust God to fight for you. Stay in peace. Keep your integrity. Don't waste energy trying to convince people who don't want to be convinced. Let your success be your response. Let your character speak for itself. Keep doing the right thing. Keep honoring God. And at the right time, He will step in and be your defender. He will restore what was lost. He will elevate you higher, and He will prove that His hand has been on your life all along. Let your success speak for itself. Too often, people feel the need to explain themselves, to prove their worth, to convince others of their abilities. They spend energy trying to get recognition, defending their choices, or responding to criticism. But the truth is, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. If you stay faithful, keep doing what God has called you to do, and remain focused, your success will speak louder than any words ever could. When you constantly try to explain yourself, you are giving power to other people's opinions. You are letting their doubts and criticisms dictate your actions. But when you trust God, when you remain patient and keep working, He will open doors that no one can shut. He will put you in positions that no amount of arguing or defending could ever accomplish. There is incredible power in simply doing what God has placed in your heart and allowing your results to silence the doubts around you. Look at Joseph in the Bible. His own brothers betrayed him, sold him into slavery, and tried to destroy his future. He could have spent his life bitter, trying to get revenge, trying to explain that he was innocent. But he didn't. He stayed faithful. He kept working and he trusted God. Even when he was falsely accused in Potiphar's house and thrown into prison, he didn't waste time complaining or trying to prove himself to people who had already made up their mind. Instead, he kept honoring God, and in the right time, God elevated him to the second highest position in Egypt. His success spoke for itself. The same brothers who tried to destroy him had to come to him for help. God had turned the situation around. Maybe you're in a place where people are doubting you. Maybe they don't see your potential. They don't recognize your talent. They question your dreams. It's tempting to want to convince them, to prove that you are capable, to defend your calling. But the best way to respond is to stay focused. Keep doing the work. Keep improving. Keep growing. The people who doubted you will eventually see the results. And when they do, they won't be able to deny what God has done in your life. Jesus Himself didn't go around trying to prove who He was. He didn't spend time arguing with those who criticized Him. He let His actions speak. He healed the sick, raised the dead, opened blind eyes. His success, His miracles, His impact proved everything. And in the end, even those who doubted had to acknowledge that He was sent by God. The same is true for you. When you walk in your purpose, when you stay faithful, when you keep pushing forward despite the obstacles, your success will do all the talking. Sometimes the best response to negativity is silence. You don't have to respond to every critic, every doubter, every person who misunderstands you. Some people are not looking for the truth. They just want to distract you. If you waste time arguing with them, you are only delaying your progress. Instead, stay in peace. Let God handle them. Let your results answer for you. When you are consistently growing, when you're producing good fruit, when your work speaks for itself, people won't be able to ignore it. There will always be people who try to bring you down, who doubt your dreams, who question your path. But their words don't determine your future. God does. He sees your efforts, He knows your heart, and He is preparing opportunities that will showcase your gifts at the right time. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase validation. Just keep being excellent, keep walking in integrity, and keep trusting God. Proverbs 22:29 says, "Do you see a person skilled in their work? They will stand before kings. They will not stand before obscure people." That means when you are diligent, when you are excellent, when you commit to your growth, God will make sure the right people notice. You don't have to fight for a seat at the table. God will prepare a place for you. Let this be your mindset. You don't have to prove yourself to people. You prepare yourself to people. You don't have to beg for recognition. Your success, your impact, your consistency will speak for itself. Stay focused. Keep pushing forward and trust that God will elevate you at the right time. When that happens, the same people who doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge what God has done. Your success will be undeniable, and it will tell a story greater than any words ever could.